guys, what's going on? So in this video we're going to be working on some things in the box, and we lost a subwoofer. Actually, it exploded. The cone came separated from the entire former and everything, so we have to start dealing with this issue. So we're going to be doing some reconing, which means we got to pull these guys back out, get them all reconed before our show, and that way they're all the same and they're not broken differently as they, there'll be older ones and newer ones. So we'll go over some of that and kind of show you guys what's going on, and then we'll start talking about some of the adjustments I want to make to the enclosure. And this is going to be less of like tell you how to do this, but more of like let's explore it together. And I'll just be testing along through the next series of videos on just different ideas and things. I'm learning just as much as you might be, so we'll just be testing, and we'll kind of show you the process of how to test and build a SPL style build, and we'll see if we're successful. If not, then we'll reach out and we'll talk to some other competitors and try to get this thing figured out. But right now it's pretty good. The enclosure is around 43 cubic feet, fairly large, especially for the DC audio woofers. They don't like super large enclosures, and it's capable right now of about a 166 at 30,000 watts sealed on the glass, and I know there's way more room to improve that, especially since I haven't adjusted anything in the box. So to give a good comparison, I would say that if I had a little more power on tap, I think it's 167 plus at around 40K. We just don't have that due to box rise and such, but we have 30,000 watts to work with right now. Hopefully we can improve on the box rise as we shrink it, but we'll find out. And we'll keep dealing with stuff like this, but let's get into why this happened, and let's get to fixing it. Alright, so we're inside the enclosure looking at our woofers, and this was the one that decided to go. And generally what happens is on this far side of the box, away from the port, more pressure will build up on the back side of the subwoofers than on the front side. It's louder inside the box. If I put the meter in here, it'd be significantly louder than it is on the front side. That's just a given. And when you get such a large difference of pressure, it puts a lot of stress on the paper cones here. And if you can see on this one, it's starting to show that stress. All these cracks in the paper itself, that's just the cone that's just getting bombarded. And this hasn't been a huge problem yet, up until more recently, the louder we've been getting it. And the more times we hit it, the more damage occurs. So it's kind of an additive result. So if these were fresh, they would be okay for several more runs. But they've been tested quite a bit, and definitely shows a sign that, number one, the enclosure is too large. I already knew that. You don't got to tell me that. I just wanted to get a lot of testing kind of set up. By the time I got to this point, I'd have good data to go off of for when I start actually making adjustments. And then the other thing is too much power for the size. It's not a big deal when you're on lower power, but now we're getting up and starting to see issues. But the coils are hanging in there really good, so that's good. It's just the soft parts are not liking the volume of enclosure. So my first thing to do is this back corner. You can see it's perfectly squared off right now. I've got nothing going on in there. We went through, we sanded down the box, we've bonded all the holes flat. Everything's pretty smooth in here. But we need to deal with this corner, and those are all chunks of glue that came out of that speaker. But we're getting a lot of pressure build up here, and the wave coming off this pair of speakers, the far side, hits back here and takes longer to get to this port, and then in turn longer out to the mic than these two. So they're having a difference in wavelength and loading, and the way to help combat that is by putting an angle back here. And the angle of the angle can vary, and it might be something to test. But I've talked to a lot of guys who are kind of into it, and they're suggesting I start with around 23 to 26 degrees, on this angle. So we're gonna end up with something coming across like that. It's going to just help the wave roll back out of the box a little faster for these guys. And you also might have noticed I set these back versus these ones. Well, that was to help attempt making that happen without actually building anything yet. And I haven't decided whether or not that worked, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put these back in the front with these so they're all on the same plane, and then work on the angle, and then maybe bring them back when I'm a little more worked out on that and see what the difference is there, because right now it didn't make a huge difference other than it helped efficiency slightly, but we still have a problem because we're stressing the cones out quite a bit. So I'm going to be working on some of that later on. This video we're just going to be reconing, so I'll stop talking about it so much. I just wanted to give you guys an insight on what's exactly happening in here, and if you still don't understand it and maybe I didn't explain it enough, we could go into another video that's got more detail on that. But to the best of my understanding, that's generally what the problem is the difference in pressures, which is just a result of getting it pretty loud. So we're gonna go pull these out now. guys, so we got all of them built. This one's drying. I'm gonna give it a quick test. This is a really useful little tool here. So what it does is you can check your speaker polarity. So if you see that, it's popping out, which means that my polarity is correct. And it also has a tone generator, so if you turn it up, so that way you can check, make sure these recones are working. So I went and soldered all these on. It's kind of ugly solders, but I didn't have the right gun. But anyway, all the subs work, testing them all, letting them dry. Got a little weight on the dust cap. Here they are. Neodymium. These are 3-inch DC audio Neos, available at jeepandbass.com, along with any other DC audio product. We're letting those set up, and we'll get the testing on them pretty quickly here. I worked on the van most of the day today, doing welding and various other things. So that will be in another video, so stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't seen the van build, go ahead and check it out. I got the playlist going with all the videos, plenty of videos. If you got nothing better to do, you can go watch them. But anyway, that was our little recon setup. This video wasn't to show you how to recon, but it was just to update you on where we are. If you'd like to see a video on how to recon, browse through the channel. We got plenty of other videos going on about that, as I've done this many of times, but there they are. So anyway guys, till the next one.